Hi, everyone. Welcome to episode 5 of Chicks and Sticks, brought to you by the Hockey Writers. My name is Melissa Boyd, and I'm once again joined by my esteemed fellow writers, Kristy Flannery, Hannah Garfield, and Mariah Holland. How are y'all doing tonight?
Hey.
Feeling good.
Good. If you're enjoying our show, make sure to drop us a like, a follow, or a comment from wherever you're watching us or listening. And don't be shy to send in your questions, and we'll be sure to answer them on a future episode. Tonight, I know I speak on behalf of all my teammates on this show that when I say that we are so thrilled to welcome Caley Chelios to Chicks and Sticks this week. Caley, thank you so much for joining us and taking time out of your busy schedule.
Of course, Melissa, I'm happy to join you guys. Big fan.
Thank you. So for those of you who don't know, Caley is a new mom to a beautiful daughter and is also a radio analyst and reporter for the Tampa Bay Lightning. And before we talk about the Lightning, we would be remiss if we didn't talk about growing up with an NHL playing dad and brothers who also played hockey at a high level. So can you just tell us about how that experience was for you?
I think I get this question a lot as far as having a dad, that played hockey and the pro level. And honestly, I think when you're a kid of a father who's had a career like that or a mother in professional sports, you really don't know anything differently. So to me, he was always dad. I really never keyed in on any of his teammates as the way they played on the ice or anything like that. It was just always dad and his friends and going to dinners and going to the rink, going to practices in the morning and hitting the gas station for breakfast, which is always a plus when your dad works in sports and you have to get something quick. So that's all I knew. And it was a lot of fun, but obviously having brothers that played at a high level and playing myself and being coached and taught by my dad has helped me a ton with where I am now. And, you kind of take it for granted at the time. But once I decided I wanted to pursue a career in broadcast journalism and I wanted to be in the sport of hockey specifically and continue down that path, I realized how much having him in my life, having sports play a key role, having hockey be a, part of who I am and my family, it's helped so much in breaking down the game, understanding it. And he's obviously an excellent resource when it comes to any of my questions, clips, anything I need help with or have a question on. I send to him, his former teammates, buddies, anyone, and they've always been more than supportive and encouraging. So it's been amazing. Obviously, he had a great career, and he's someone who I look up to a lot, and I still, need every day.
That's amazing that you really do have the best resource at your disposal. So now you work with the Tampa Bay Lightning. How did you land that position? And were there any other hockey clubs that you kind of were intrigued by to work with?
I remember being in graduate school at the time. I went to Northwestern undergrad, and then I went and did another year of an accelerated master's program in journalism with a focus in broadcast and video. And I was at that point that every journalist is, where they're cold calling and emailing and just putting their name in anywhere and, tvsports.com, tvjobs.com, and applying for everything and anything. And I really wasn't getting much feedback. So I got a hold of this NHL book that had all the contacts in the world in it, as far as like PR, communications, broadcast. And at the time, my husband now, who's my boyfriend at the time, he was in Tampa Bay, had just got drafted to the Bucks, and I had been job searching for about 4 months, couldn't find anything. And I figured I might as well look in Tampa, whether it's hockey, soccer, ballet. I didn't care at that point. I was just ready to practice and, get better at video. And obviously my dream job coming out of school would have been working in the role I ended up landing, which is a reporting role. But it was kind of a freak of nature. I was not looking at Tampa Bay at all. My husband now got drafted, so I started making some phone calls to the Rowdies, the Rays, high school football, and I ended up calling the director of broadcast with the Lightning and sent him my reel, and we just kind of kept in touch. He was really nice, called me back, and was really friendly, great advice. And from there, I kept in touch, and honestly, everything is just timing. 2 weeks after that phone call, Michelle Gingras, who now works for Madison Square Garden, MSG Networks, she was the reporter for the Lightning in my role, and she quit and moved to New York. And within those 2 weeks, I got a phone call from the director of broadcast, Matt Salmon. I always have to thank him. And he ended up calling me and telling me, we'd love to interview you for this position. I flew down there a couple times, interviewed, and by October, it was in 2016, year the Cubs won the World Series. So Chicago was crazy. I got the job and it was amazing. Obviously, I knew Steve Yzerman was the general manager there, and my dad and him played for the Detroit Red Wings back in the day. So even more exciting, I reached out to him, and, it couldn't have worked out any better other than my husband now moving the day I moved to Florida to Cleveland to play for the Browns. Double no. So that part was hard, but obviously landing that job, that was a dream job, and the organization itself, unbelievable, top notch. And I only have great things to say about my interactions with everyone I've worked with there.
Awesome. As Melissa kind of said at the beginning of the show, in addition to a phenomenal career, you are also a new mom. So how do you juggle it all, and what tips would you give to other working moms?
Yeah, it's different. I mean, my husband and I had just got married, and we weren't necessarily expecting children, but we were blessed, and we had our daughter in April, and you really can't plan or prepare for how you're going to be able to do that when you're in the middle of a pandemic. So we had a couple curveballs thrown at us, but it's amazing. It feels great to be able to still work for the Lightning, even though we made the decision as a family to move to Chicago from Tampa. I covered the playoffs from home, doing radio analysis and weekly interviews with players and coaches, similar to what I do right now. Unfortunately, it's much different not being on the road with the team, sinking your teeth in, and really getting to be a part of the locker room and the team and the atmosphere there. So that's different, and there's trade-offs. But for me to be able to be a full-time mom right now and still work every Lightning game, be a part of, the organization still, and talk to players and coaches and get regular updates and analysis from them, and be able to provide that for NHL Network and TampaBayLightning.com is still a goal for me. I mean, it's amazing to be able to do both. So it's definitely doable. Obviously, the pandemic changed things up quite a bit and changed and made some decisions for me as far as what my family and I were going to do moving forward. We're actually expecting another one in September. So it's
Congratulations.
Yeah. So we decided we're going to start our family. And right now it's been amazing still working for the team and working another playoffs pregnant. And I'm hoping to be able to continue as long as I can, and we'll see what the future holds, but it's certainly doable from home. And I definitely encourage women. There's not enough in the radio world. So I think the more analysts you can get and the more women you have talking about hockey, whether it's from home or a radio station or anything, radio is an incredible place to start, even if you have TV aspirations. And it's taught me so much.
So speaking of the playoffs, the Lightning currently have a 2-game lead on the Hurricanes. What do they need to do to keep up to win the series?
Yeah, I mean, this is the second round, and this is the second time in a series they've had a 2-game lead in the opposing team's barn. So coming back home, Game 3 against the Panthers, they had a little bit of a letdown. It was the first time in 2 years almost that they'd had a postseason game in Amalie Arena. But I think that was a learning experience for them, for sure. Players have talked about it. And to me, this team looks hungry. I know Julian Breezeball, the general manager, said that at the halfway point of the season. He said this team looks like they're hungry and they have a quiet confidence about them. And I think 100% healthy. And right now in the playoffs, you can just feel the hunger for another Stanley Cup championship. And that experience has certainly played a key role in being able to manage games well, manage the highs and lows and the emotions that go into playing with the lead in a, series with Carolina. They're a team that can overwhelm you, that can get you on your heels, in which they've done to the Lightning, but they have Andrei Vasilevskiy, which is a big key to winning any game. And they have, just the confidence, I think, in their group and their ability to be comfortable in those situations and not allow the crowd or, extenuating factors to change the game. I think that's where the veteran experience has come into play here. And Carolina's a desperate team in some ways. They have a new goaltender in net for them to start Game 3, and Peter Mrazek. He hasn't played in over 3.5 weeks, but he's more battle tested in the playoffs than Nedeljkovic. So Rod Brind'Amour is clearly in he's hungry for that first lead and first goal of the series, which they haven't been able to get against the Lightning. So I think for the Bolts, continuing to defend the way they have within their structure has proven to be successful. They're blocking a lot of shots. And I think winning the 50-50 battles. Carolina is one of the best teams in the league. They've done a great job at, not allowing the Lightning's top line, Point Plot, Kucherov, to be as dangerous as they could be. And they haven't gotten as many dangerous chances. So who has it been? It's been the Killorns, the Cirellis, the Gourdes, the Goodrows, who have stepped in and been X factors, and they're playing with a level of confidence we didn't see in the regular season. So Lightning right now seem to be firing on all cylinders. We'll see if they can sustain that for a 7-game series if need be.
So who do you think will ultimately have the biggest impact on this series?
I mean, I think Vasilevskiy is such a game changer for the Lightning. I mean, he's the best in the world. Other teams are calling him that too. It's not just his own teammates. He's a Vezina finalist for the 4th year in a row. Mm-hmm. I don't think they can rely on him. And that's one thing I think they learned in 2018, getting swept in the first round, that they learned a lot, I think, in that series. And a lot of that, I think, is why they won the Stanley Cup last season. They've had some early exits in the past, and it was a much different playoffs this season, even coming in as the defending Stanley Cup champs, as opposed to being the team to beat for how many years in a row, 5 or 6 years in a row, contenders. So I think Vasilevskiy is huge. And I just think their top players, when called upon, are going to have to be their best, just like any team. And it's not just that. I love what Derek Lalonde, the assistant coach for the Lightning, said too. It's not just the Lightning's best players, but it's their X factor, their game breaker players, the Killorns and Cirellis. They also have to be their best. And in this series with Carolina, that's certainly proven to be true.
So if we go back to last year, I'm a Devils fan. And when you guys got Blake Coleman, it broke my heart. I was so devastated. The only thing that made me feel better was that he won a cup. How much of an impact did he have last year and even this year?
I know your loss was the Lightning's gain. He was so good. I'm so sorry that you lost him at the time.
Me too.
But you have to be happy for him. He had a baby and a Stanley Cup championship under his belt in a year. So I think he's been phenomenal. I mean, that line with Gourde, Goodrow, and Coleman has been sensational, and they feed off energy. They're an energy line. So I think having no fans in the building this season at times, maybe they were a little more stale, and that's to be expected, especially with the grind of what this season entailed, being, going through COVID protocol and all of that. But I think in the playoffs, they're gamers. They're relentless. They pursue their puck pursuit is incredible. It makes the difference in games. And in the series against Carolina, specifically, when they have that ability to overwhelm you and get you on your heels at times with how aggressive their forecheck is, that's their MO. That's what they want to do. They want to be down your throat and move the puck north. I think the Gourde line with Coleman and Goodrow are one of those lines that can swing momentum back in the other favor and settle things down a little bit. Coleman, he's got a great shot. He's talented. He's smart. He's got bite. He's not afraid to get in the mix, which we've seen. And that whole line, they all have that. They're very similar in the way they're built and the way they play, and they play hard. I've loved watching Coleman since he came to the team, and obviously easy to say now, but great addition by Julien Brisebois, adding him and Goodrow at the trade deadline.
Yeah, because nobody knew who he was when he was originally traded. Only Devils fans knew who he was. Exactly.
Yeah. No, he's quietly, shown who he is now, being on the best team and playing, pretty top minutes there.
Mm-hmm.
So you mentioned Vasilevskiy a lot so far, and rightfully so. And he was, as you said, he's just recently nominated for the Vezina yet again. But I mean, I think the tendency is for non-Tampa Bay Lightning fans to say, well, of course he's great. Look at the team that he's playing in front of, or behind, sorry, the team that's playing in front of him. But so what makes him so great for people who don't watch Tampa Bay all the time?
I think, and I've been covering the team for 5 years now, 5 seasons, and I first came to the Lightning when he was backing up Ben Bishop in 2016. And it was kind of an interesting year because the Lightning were, as Steve Yzerman at the time, he was the general manager, he'd said it was probably the most underachieving team he'd had in his time with the organization. They just missed playoffs by a point, had 96 points, I believe, but they fell one shy of making the playoffs. And it was also an interesting year for goaltending because Ben Bishop and Vasilevskiy were splitting the net. Bishop ends up getting traded that season. Vasilevskiy emerges as the number one goaltender. And so I've been able to watch him transform under the mentorship of Ben Bishop. I wasn't there for that tandem necessarily, but I was there when he won the Vezina and in Las Vegas and just, he's a pretty incredibly talented player. And if I had to pick a couple, he's probably the most competitive player I've seen in practices. I've watched a lot of Lightning practices in the last 5 seasons. Vasilevskiy's competitiveness is pretty unmatched. I will say Victor Hedman's rivals it, even in the practice setting, but he's just extremely competitive, extremely hardworking. He never gives himself a break in that sense. It almost was to a fault at times. He wanted to play every single game in a season if he could. And now I think with a cup under his belt and another year of experience and maturity, he's just elevated, if that was even possible. He knows when he needs breaks. He knows how to manage his workload. He knows when to take morning skates off. And, more nights than not, he's playing at the top of his game. And that's saying a lot. He's been in some pretty good company right now as far as the statistics he's broken. His stats obviously speak for himself, but I think Vasilevskiy is just someone, his competitiveness and his mental fortitude, as John Cooper has talked about, is what separates him from other goaltenders right now. It's what's happening between the ears, he likes to say, that makes a goaltender that much better than, elite and playing at the level he is. And I think with another year under his belt, he's reached that calmness, that confidence. He just looks so smooth, so confident in net every night. He manages his highs and lows, and the mental toughness to be the only one in net and have that responsibility is pretty significant. So for him to be where he is right now, it just shows how strong he is.
For sure.
It's extremely flexible too.
So let's say Tampa beats Carolina. Which of the remaining teams do you think would be the biggest challenge for them?
I haven't been able to watch every single game, but I try to and watch the highlights. Colorado to me has been fun to watch. They're good. They're fast. They're big. I like Nathan McKinnon a lot. He's mean. He plays big too. Very fast. Great shot. Great release. They're a team, we've had our eye on, I think, in the past a lot and maybe overlooked at times, but I think they're playing really well. They're playing with confidence. I think it's going to be a huge challenge for the Lightning, especially, depending if they move past Carolina and they get to the Eastern Conference Final. I just think the West and Colorado play a completely different brand of hockey than what we're seeing in the East. And it's not as tight checking. It's not at all, as I would say the Carolina Hurricanes have been for the Lightning in this series. So I think it would be a big adjustment, and I would be very interested to see how game one of that matchup would go in a Stanley Cup final, because Colorado looks so fast, so dangerous, but the defending Stanley Cup champs are still the team to beat. And I think their experience and their ability to defend, would be a great matchup against them. Not to mention they have stars and they have the Kucherovs, the Stamkos, the Vasilevskiy. So, they've got it all. They're one of the most complete teams. They play physical, but Colorado they play fast and they make plays with pace really fast. And I love watching McKinnon. He's a superstar.
Yeah, I agree.
So we wanted to end the show with a quick rapid fire. It's kind of our tradition here at Chicks and Sticks. So we're going to ask you 5 sort of out of the box questions. And I think Hannah is going first.
So the first question is, what is your go-to coffee order?
So I don't really drink coffee, maybe a character flaw, but I drink hot tea, and I love like any kind of seltzer, LaCroix, whatever. I love grapefruit flavored sodas and all that kind of stuff, but I've just never been a big coffee person. I need to find my mojo to get into it.
And which NHL city is your favorite? And you can be biased and say Tampa. It's okay.
You know what? I won't be biased. I will say I love Montreal. If we're going to go Canada, US, I love New York City. It's like my favorite city. It was the first time I ever went there was with the team. Yeah. And then Montreal, I think, is my favorite road city when you take the team, the opposing building, and the city as a whole, the food. It's my favorite.
Who is your favorite player to interview?
Ooh, I don't know if I have a favorite, but I do love interviewing Yanni Gourde during intermissions. Players do not like giving intermission interviews.
Yeah.
Gourde is always a trooper. I feel like he's always asked a ton, but I love it. I think he's authentic. He always gives like really passionate in the moment answers, and most players are like, I need to go. Bye.
And I have to ask, what is your go-to game day accessory?
Ooh, I mean, I love the name of this podcast because I always wear stilettos. You will never see me at a game without stilettos.
Me too, sweetie.
Have to wear them. I will never not. I don't think I've ever gone to a game not in heels.
Girl after my own heart.
And the last one, and you can be biased with your answer on this one too, but who do you think will be in the Stanley Cup Finals? Which two teams and who will win?
I'm going to say Tampa Bay and Colorado, and I have to say Tampa Bay. Defending Stanley Cup champs are going to two-peat.
All right, you heard it here first. The Tampa Bay Lightning are going to repeat. Well, that brings an end to this week's show. Caley, once again, thank you so much for joining us. I know at the time we're recording, you're in the middle of a game. Actually, there's a game going on that you need to be there for. So
not ideal.
It's all good. I have it on pause. My husband paused it so I can jump in, fast forward through the commercials, and then jump right back into the action.
Awesome. And thank you as always to Kristy, Hannah, and Mariah for joining me again this week. And a special thanks to all of you for watching and listening, and be sure to join us next week as we'll be joined by NHL Network host Jackie Redmond. So make sure you tune in for that.
Love Jackie.
We're very excited for that one too. Until then, be sure to check out all the great shows being produced by the Hockey Writers on YouTube, Facebook, and your favorite podcast platform. All of our shows are also now available via iHeartRadio. And don't forget to visit thehockeywriters.com to read all the content being published daily by our awesome writers. Don't forget to follow us on social media so you're not missing anything. And last but not least, please sign up for our daily newsletter that we just launched recently, Morning Skate, by visiting morningskate.io. This way you'll get to start your day off right with all the latest hockey news. That's all for this week. Take care and talk to you soon.